pas en pite.
Hello everybody, welcome back. Let's have a look at Bitcoin. But before we do that, we're gonna have a look at some of the traditionals. All right, I know it's boring, but we're gonna have to do it because let's face it, we're talking about a risky asset being Bitcoin, even riskier assets being altcoins, which we're still on the fence a little bit about all of that, in the short term at least. And we've got to think about the traditional markets, and NASDAQ seems to be the one which has the most correlation for Bitcoin. And again, it's through association of risk really and tech. So what we're seeing here with NASDAQ is actually better than I expected. So we've had 2 days worth of moon. Moon isn't the right word. 2 days worth of green, and we've reclaimed this area of what was support. Could have been resistance, proved to be resistance for a short period, and then now has been reclaimed. Then actually came down to revisit that on the last 4-hourly candle of yesterday. So it worked out quite well. So that's 2 green days now for the NASDAQ. Okay, and obviously we had the Fed saying the 2.5 basis points, which is again more than priced in at that point. And so now it's going to give the building block for a little bit of upside. However, highly speculative, because we all know that there's going to be more Fed rate hikes take place throughout this year. I think between 5 to 7 is the anticipated amount, and potentially throughout next year as well, even more. So yeah, this is an ongoing event really, but largely I think it's been priced in still over the year. And yeah, we've got to reclaim certain zones. So we'll talk about the NASDAQ first of all, and I know it's boring, but it's going to give us a little bit of an edge. We are still effectively in a downtrend for the NASDAQ. We can see that this consolidation is still quite strong. Coming up to this particular level of interest right now, we've got a descending triangle. Again, bearish formation, bearish chart on the whole. And so today is going to be the day of reckoning. Are we going to break out of this and actually head up towards the 14,200 zone? And if we do, then excellent. We'll have to see how it plays. But for the moment, it's a recovery in the making, and it's not yet proven to have broken out, and technically is still consolidating. So today's open is going to be a big deal. Keep your eyes on the price for the daily open, and again, that's going to correspond to what's going on with Bitcoin. Arguably, I would say that this is the more important chart at the moment, to be honest with you, because Bitcoin is an afterthought. We saw that the NASDAQ even outperformed Bitcoin, not yesterday, the day before, in anticipation for this flimsy approach to sorting out the inflation. Anyway, that's your NASDAQ, and like I say, today's open, we'll see if we get the rejection here, or if we continue with a green day, it's going to be pretty positive for Bitcoin. Bitcoin is in a similar kind of vibe. In all fairness, we're outside of the major level of consolidation, and into this what could be a period of accumulation. We got picked up quite nicely on this level here, and that is reassuring really, because we saw that prior to that we had a fair bit of price here before we came all the way down to 29,000. All of this is still on the cards. We are not in an uptrend at the moment. We're not in an uptrend. We can be bullish, and that's fine. We can be bullish if you want to. But at the moment, while still being below at least this 200 exponential, which is coming at around almost 45,000, it's going to be difficult for me to really be actually properly bullish. This is why I talk about buying zones really. So buy the zones. So the first area I bought is more or less where we're at right now, about 40,600. Second zone I bought 35,000. This whole area is done for me. So whatever it does from here is not really a big deal for me. I don't mind if it goes up. I don't particularly mind if it goes down either. But this zone is basically just playing out like a boring range. It's a yawn fest, isn't it? Really, it's an absolute yawn fest. And while Bitcoin's doing this, it's really just hurting altcoins in the process, because Bitcoin is the one that has the fundamentals behind it. It's the one that trails on behind the NASDAQ. So we're thinking about the NASDAQ first of all, then we think about Bitcoin. Altcoins are like a distant afterthought. There's almost so much of an afterthought that you could consider most of them forgotten about really, which is good in the long term because you'll be able to pick them up at low prices and get decent gains out of them. The market doesn't appear to be ready for that, so feel free to buy them. Absolutely no problem in that. But you might be under the false sense of security that they will go up when Bitcoin goes up, and that's not necessarily the case. We witnessed this around this level here when Bitcoin mooned big time. Basically did well, it was more than that. It was from here onwards, did a 300% rally and left a lot of altcoins in the dust, creating a large Bitcoin dominance move all the way up to its massive high, where we then alternated into the altcoins. So it's like I say, it's not the be all and end all. And to be honest with you, like I remember during this period, and I've been focusing on bots in my spare time recently, getting ready to do them. I did actually do some bot trading from alt to alt. So it was BNB to various different altcoins, while altcoins were effectively sideways and boring, and that worked out quite well because I just ended up making loads of BNB on the side for when BNB and altcoins were ready to moon, which was good, so that you can use altcoins during this boring technically I suppose potentially dangerous time to your favor. But let's not forget what we're looking at here. We're looking at a Bitcoin dominance chart which is historically low, and I don't expect it to moon all the way back up to 70% like it did in the past, but I do expect it to continue on up, and I'll be looking for a major rotation around 47.5% dominant. That would be a really good time to flip some Bitcoin into altcoins just on a whim, but again, I'm also expecting that to break and continue to go up. So altcoins at the moment are a bit of a no-go, but it's only a matter of time before they do catch their actual move. But when we're looking at the market as a whole, then they're not really ready for it. They are such a distant afterthought that it's probably not even worth even trying to recall those thoughts. Just leave them behind. Focus on Bitcoin, which again is trading on the coattails of NASDAQ. All of this is related to the Dixie. So we got our rejection on the Dixie. This is Dixie on the weekly. We're still seeing that rejection take place. We'll take all this noise off. Take all this noise off here, and so yeah, you can see that we're getting a rejection here. This is the pre-pandemic level. This was the pandemic hit, boing and down, so it's a natural place for it to get a rejection from. And we were talking about how we're looking for this to for moving averages to catch up to the price action and push this back up again to this level. So again, not under any illusion that we're going to break down and go into a downtrend from this level. I think this is an obvious place for it to start a small consolidation from. We've had these in the past from these particular major levels of interest, so up to here or back down to the center of the Bollinger Band, up to here, back down to the center of the Bollinger Band, up to here, probably back down to the center of the Bollinger Band. This is a weekly, so this consolidation is going to be, could be a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months long, giving, I suppose, that freedom for stocks and Bitcoin to actually start an uptrend. If we're thinking about a consolidation that maybe lasts several weeks to maybe a couple of months before we get picked up and carry on, then yeah, that's the kind of environment that we're looking for Bitcoin and NASDAQ and stocks and things like that. Doesn't mean that it'll continue, because I am looking for this to break. And the main thing that we're looking at now on this one is that once this level breaks, we are looking for this area to be tagged all the way up here. This is your multi-month, it's going back years now, multi-month consolidation trend line. Basically, it's more than a consolidation. It's going to be a consistent, everlasting downtrend. This is the nature of the Dixie, and this is how it will be. So for those who are on the Bitcoin maxi, I don't know, those who like Max Kaiser and all that lot, and they speak that what they say about Bitcoin is true. It is true, but we are talking years worth of devalued currency. We've had a bit of a crazy blip recently, obviously, but this is the general direction, and it's all good for Bitcoin, but it does take many years, all right? And it's like Michael Saylor says, the best time to buy Bitcoin is always 5 years ago. So buy it today and see where we are in 5 years. If we think about the trajectory of this and this descending trend, and then a reaction from there that brings us down to a new low, very, very likely, very, very, very likely. But again, what we're looking at here, we're talking 22, 23, 24, 2025, all the way up to here. This could take years before we get that major rejection. That would be a great place to buy everything, I'm telling you. And again, we're not far away from that. In theory, we're only, 11, 12%. But again, 11, 12% on a Dixie is a big deal. So yeah, like I say, it's not the end of the world. You're stuck in a bad position for Bitcoin specifically. Don't particularly worry about it. You will be forgiven in the end. You will be forgiven. Altcoins maybe not so much. It depends on what you've got. But for Bitcoin, you will be forgiven. It's not the end of the world. 5 years is the way to think about this. And if we're thinking about this chart, then a rejection at these upper levels here over the next 5 years is very likely, and a rejection from here would be absolutely savage, and an excellent place to buy everything and anything and everything. Do you know what I mean? It's going to be great. But for the moment, it's not. We're looking for a bit of light relief, I would imagine, on the Dixie, given the opportunity for things like NASDAQ and Bitcoin to actually go on to have a run. But remember what I said about the Dixie, the NASDAQ. We are at this consolidation trend line. So I generally would expect a rejection from here, but we will see. We will see, because the fundamentals can sometimes trump technicals. And so everything breaks at one point, whether that's a breakout or a breakdown. So maybe we do have a third green day in a row. And again, it would be pretty good if we did. When we think about how far we've come so far on the NASDAQ, it's almost a 7% move. That's not bad. That's not bad. So we'll see how this performs today, and then whatever the NASDAQ does will likely cause Bitcoin to do the same. Now, we're thinking about particular levels on Bitcoin. This level right now, it's holding, is okay. Just below 41,000 is a major area of support stroke resistance. The parabolic top here, the peak here, a peak and a retest here. Retest here, and so it is a big deal to hold above. We'll call it 41,000, give us a little bit of a buffer zone, but it's nothing special. The major thing would be to get above that 200 exponential and stay above there. This is the big deal for Bitcoin. It's a big deal for everything, but especially for crypto. The bottom moving average of any uptrend would always be the 200 exponential. It doesn't. You can't get bullish on it on a prolonged period while being below it. It's just not gonna. It's just isn't gonna work. It's just not gonna work like that. So we do have to get above there, and that currently is 45,000 at the moment. Right. So I'll leave it with you there. There's not a great deal more to say. We're gonna have to wait for American markets to open to really get an idea of how this is going to progress over the rest of the week into next week, and maybe throughout the month and into next month. So can't really make any particular calls on it right now, because American markets are closed, and we do need them. We do depend on them at this very moment in time, because we've seen the correlation, and that's basically as far as it's going to go. I wish you all a good day anyway, and thanks for watching. And live stream on Saturday night this week, so not Friday, Saturday. So if you're not a member of the Patreon, feel free to join. £7.50 a month, 2 live streams a week. So I'll see you there on Saturday. Anyway, have a nice day. Take it easy.